The man in this picture was last seen here in this very spot, and that's the only clue that the police have to go off of, because there were no witnesses and no body. It was just an ordinary day at the mall until the security cameras caught something extraordinary. It was 1:37 p.m. on Tuesday, when a man left his truck and walked into the mall. He was wearing a gray sweater, jeans, and red shoes. He seemed relaxed as he walked into the mall and disappeared from sight. The next time the mall security cameras saw him, he had changed his clothes. He was wearing a black sweater with the hood pulled up tight, sunglasses, and a baseball cap. The footage shows him walking away from the camera and then out the door. That was the last time anyone saw him. He simply vanished. And it wasn't until 3 hours later that anyone even realized he was missing. His name is Brian Schaefer, and he is just one of many people who have disappeared without a trace. Unlike most other cases, there is security footage of what may be his final moments alive. So what happened to him? Did he run away? Get kidnapped or something more sinister? Let's take a look. When Brian's family noticed he hadn't returned home, they tried calling him, but his phone went straight to voicemail. His wife, who we'll refer to as Crystal for privacy reasons, knew something was wrong. In addition to not hearing from Brian, she knew he would never miss their son's first ever soccer game. When Brian didn't show up for the game, Crystal filed a missing persons report with the police. They took the security footage from the mall and put it on the news, hoping someone could identify the man and bring him home to his worried family. But all this did was raise more questions than answers. Why would he change his clothes if he just went to the mall to do some shopping? Why pull his hood up and wear sunglasses inside the mall? And why cover his face if he wasn't doing anything wrong? His family and the police were baffled by the footage. They didn't know whether to investigate it as a kidnapping or a runaway case. Since the footage was so grainy, nobody could tell if the man was Brian. He might have been wearing a wig, which made it harder to identify him. The police were afraid that if they released the footage, it would spark a media frenzy and ruin any chance they had of solving the case. So what did they do next? A friend of the family decided to take matters into his own hands. He paid a website to enhance the video. The site specialized in taking low-quality, blurry footage and turning it into crystal-clear images. This is how they managed to get a clear look at the man's face. Although his face was partially covered, the image enhancement showed that it was him. But where was he going? Police reached out to everyone Brian knew, friends, family, and coworkers. But none of them had seen him since he went missing. At first, his family thought he might have had an accident while driving and his body was thrown into a lake or something. They searched for days, but his body was nowhere to be found. There were no signs of a struggle. He left his wallet, keys, and cell phone behind. Nobody could figure out why he would leave all those things behind and disappear. He didn't have a history of mental illness or substance abuse. He had no enemies that would want him dead, and no reason to run away from his life. As the weeks passed and the temperatures rose, hope began to dwindle. His family feared the worst. Was he kidnapped and buried somewhere? If so, where? The police still didn't have enough evidence to launch a full investigation. They were waiting for a break in the case. They needed something to make the public remember Brian and keep his case in the spotlight. Then one of his friends came up with an idea. She organized a flash mob in the same mall where Brian was last seen. Friends and family members stood around the security cameras dressed in the same clothes that he was wearing. They hoped that by recreating the scene, someone would come forward with information about his disappearance. Yet, despite the attention the event got, nobody knew anything about what happened to him. Some said they recognized the man in the video, but when the police brought them in for questioning, they recanted their stories. For 3 years, his family waited for answers. They put out missing persons posters in every town and city they could afford to. They never gave up hope that he would be found alive, but deep down, they knew it was unlikely. 3 years later, a woman called the police. She had been working as a waitress in a diner when she recognized one of her customers. She told the police that the man looked just like Brian. The police followed up on the lead and it turned out that it was him. He had grown a beard and lost a lot of weight, but it was definitely him. He was hesitant to talk to the police, but after assuring him that they wouldn't arrest him, he agreed to sit down and talk. He was now living under the alias Anthony and had no memory of the past 2 years. He couldn't remember why he changed his clothes or what happened to him after he walked out of the mall. He had no idea how he ended up in California. The police were confused. What happened to him? Why did he run away? And why did he try to hide his identity? Was he hiding from something or someone? Unfortunately, we may never know the answers to these questions because even though he was found, he still doesn't remember anything. The case went back to the missing persons department. His family was overjoyed to see him, but Brian wasn't the same. He had no idea why he ran away or how he got to California. He was diagnosed with amnesia and given therapy to help him cope with what happened. But he still can't remember anything. While the police worked on the case, Brian lived with his family, trying to piece together the fragments of his past. With the help of his family and doctors, he was able to piece together bits and pieces of his life before the incident. He remembered his childhood, his friends, and his parents, but nothing about the day he disappeared. His sister says that he sometimes has dreams about that day. In his dreams, he remembers everything in vivid detail, but when he wakes up, it all comes flooding back. The police tried everything they could to find out what happened to him, but they hit a wall. All they had was a security camera footage of a man who looked like Brian. But without any solid leads, they had no way of knowing what happened to him. They checked everywhere he might have gone and questioned everyone he might have met, but no one had seen him. The case grew colder and colder as the months passed, and eventually it was shelved. Brian lives his life knowing that he survived an unknown tragedy and somehow made it to California. His family knows that he's lucky to be alive, but they also know that they may never know what happened to him. Brian says he doesn't want to know. He's happy to be home with his family, and that's all that matters. He has no desire to uncover the truth. As for the police, they don't have any new leads, and the case remains open. They're still looking for answers, but they may never get them. What do you think happened to him? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like the video, please subscribe. We upload new videos every week. Thank you for watching.